Welcome to Ray Reads, a podcast where I discuss the books I am currently reading. For this episode of Ray Reads, I will be discussing May the Best Man Win by ZR Ellor. I have to say, I was blown away by all of the diversity in this novel. Jeremy is gay and transgender. Lucas is bisexual and autistic. Sol is non-binary and Latinx. And Naomi is Jewish. Diversity is so important and wonderful. It's one of the reasons I selected this novel to be included in my senior capstone thesis research paper. I love all of the representation available in this book. My only critique is that it's all rich, well-off families here. I mean, Jeremy's mom is a successful lawyer and he is enrolled in Cresswell Academy, which is not some typical public school. I think the story would be different if the economic classes were more diversified. Yet, overall, I definitely appreciate the diversity present. I love how this book does not assume characters are white by default. The white characters are pointed out the same way people of color are in other novels. White, cisgender, and heterosexual are not the default settings for people. It is time to leave these assumptions behind in order to encourage greater diversity. Now, let's talk about Jeremy. I love how human and flawed he is. His coming-of-age story addresses many significant issues, from discrimination and hate crimes to toxic masculinity and gender expression. Jeremy is struggling to reconcile his so-called feminine interests, such as cheerleading and pageants, with his masculine identity. While Jeremy is, understandably, having a rather difficult time transitioning, he truly does make some things harder on himself and the people around him. I mean, Jeremy broke up with Lucas in the worst way possible while he was grieving his brother. And while Naomi has always been there for Jeremy, he is not there for her like he should be as her best friend. He always prioritizes his own feelings above everyone else, even when Naomi had a breakdown over her summer SAT. Fortunately, Jeremy is able to learn from his mistakes and grow into a better person. More than that, he learns to overcome his family's generational trauma that's linked to traditional opinions of how a proper girl should behave. His grandmother's view on womanhood most likely inspired Jeremy's toxic masculinity, his false understanding of how gender roles and expression should operate. Of course, Jeremy is not the only one dealing with family issues. Sol, similarly, is confronted with a family that does not understand their non-binary identity. Their Tia invalidates Sol by stating they/them gender-neutral pronouns are ungrammatical, despite how they have existed in English at least since Chaucer. And then Lucas has his own family drama as well. The death of his brother broke his family apart. Lucas has to wrestle with all these complex emotions alone. He lost his big brother and his bully. Lucas cannot mourn properly with all his resentment, yet he cannot completely hate his brother when he's now dead. Terry is the first person who Lucas can talk to about his brother. Now, Terry is an interesting and weird character. I can't believe that he gets away with stealing the $8,000 prom fund in the end. No one appears to be concerned with tracking Terry down and arresting him or anything. Everyone is just like, oh well, guess there's nothing we can do about it. The other weird thing about Terry is how he just carries around a piercing kit, seemingly for the hell of it. Not sure how sanitary that is. Back to more serious matters. When the debate teacher, Mr. Ewing, assigns the trans rights topic to Jeremy, it makes my blood boil. I remember when I was in middle school, my debate teacher had the class argue for and against gay marriage rights right before it was legalized. Kids shouldn't have to defend their rights like this, or have to listen to their peers invalidate their identities and experiences. I absolutely love Jeremy for refusing to comply with Mr. Ewing's assignment. I love the author ZR Ellor for never once printing out Jeremy's dead name. It is stated that Philip, I think, taunts Jeremy with his dead name, the name he was given at birth, but that name is not revealed to the readers. I appreciate how it is impossible for readers to dead name him. Using a trans person's correct name and pronouns is essential and life-saving. The last major point I have here is regarding Soul. Soul is, without a doubt, my favorite character. I was surprised, yet thoroughly pleased, that a Latinx non-binary kid won Homecoming King. Soul's victory here inspired me to compete in a pageant myself as a non-binary person. Unlike Soul, I didn't win the crown, but it was a wonderful experience for me, and I am so grateful for the pageant director and all of the participants for being so inclusive and respectful of my identity. I hope more non-binary people can have more of these opportunities. My final note for this book is on the cover, just me being nitpicky. The illustration on my copy gives Jeremy brown eyes instead of green. It doesn't really matter. It is simply a minor inconsistency I noticed. Really something that happens since authors don't typically design their own book covers. Beside this tiny detail, I do like the cover a lot, especially with the pink and blue transgender pride colors, how some of the covers have the pink background and others have the blue. I love May the Best Man Win. This is one of the 2 books I analyzed for my senior capstone thesis paper on queer representation in contemporary young adult literature. check out my next episode for a discussion on the second book I studied for my capstone.